Tat Sat. We commence this evening's satsang with a Sanskrit prayer by our revered Guru, Pujyatman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda ji.
Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
We will commence this evening's satsang with a devotional song sung by Sanchari. It is dedicated to Lord Krishna.
आरती कुंज बिहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की आरती कुंज बिहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की गले में बैजंती माला बजावे मुरली मधुर बाला श्रवण में कुंडल झलकाला नंद के आनंद नंद लाला गगन सम अंग कांति काली राधिका चमक रही आली लटन में थाड़े बनमाली भ्रमर सी अलक कस्तूरी तिलक चंद्र सी झलक ललित छवि श्यामा प्यारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की आरती कुंज बिहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की कनक में मोर मुकुट बिल से देवता दर्शन को तरसे गगन सो सुमन राशि भर से भजे मूर्छंग मधुर मृदंग ग्वालिनी संग अतुल रति गोप कुमारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की आरती कुंज बिहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की जहाँ ते प्रकट भई गंगा कलुष कलिहारिणी श्री गंगा स्मरण ते होत मोह भंगा बसी शिव शीश जटा के बीच हरे अग खींच चरण छवि श्री बनवारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की आरती कुंज बिहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की चमकती उज्ज्वल तट रेणु बज रही वृंदावन बेनु चहु दिसि गोपी ग्वाल धेनु हसत मृदु मंद चांदनी चंद्र कटत भव फ्रंद तेर सुन दीन भिकारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की आरती कुंज बिहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की आरती कुंज बिहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की आरती कुंज बिहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की.
We are recording from the ashram of our revered Guru, Pujyatman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda ji in Miami, Florida. Today is July the 15th, 2018, and on this Sunday evening, Swamiji continues with the lecture series on the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This is series 2018, lecture number 9. And now our beloved Guru, Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda ji.
Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om. Adoration to Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, destroyer of the forces of darkness. bestower of immortality. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 2, known as Sankhya Yoga, the yoga of wisdom. And presently, in the verse number 40, Lord Krishna has already given subtle insight into the spiritual process that leads the soul to enlightenment. This practice has two aspects, Sankhya and Yoga. Sankhya, to understand, let your intellect grab it. Grahana kare, gragak. Let your intellect assimilate it. That's first stage, and that's always important in throughout your life. Your study can never be absolute. The same Gita that you study today, go on studying day by day. Same japa that you have recited today, go on doing it day by day. Same food you have eaten today, go on eating day by day. Now coming to the serious point. Sankhya Buddhi implies insight into the immortality of the soul. No matter how things happen, your soul is perfectly safe. It's immortal. A reflected sun goes through lots of situations. From the point of view of another reflected sun, it's a story of turmoil, a world where there is the soul number 1 is in one bucket. Soul number 2 is in another bucket. Soul number 2 raises its head and converses with soul number 1. Soul number 1 spills out all the misery it has gone through. And soul number 2 says, is that all? Look what I say. I'm just giving you only 2. Sankhya Buddhi means no matter what your story, no matter whatever has happened, one thing is perfect. Every reflected sun is the sun. So no matter whatever happened to reflected sun, the sun is the same. And understand it in 2 stages. From the point of view of reflected sun, you want to stay reflected. There are a lot of pots and a lot of waters. You can move from one to another. So even from that point of view, you are not exterminated. You go on incarnating. But this is the ordinary way to understand. Extraordinary, the real goal to understand, I am the sun. So immortality in 2 steps exists in your heart. One aspect of immortality you will not perish with your body. Your soul is foxy enough to find another body. So do not live with constant dread about death. And the next one, the soul is nothing but the ray of the sun, and the ray is nothing but the sun. Coming down to a very simple way to understand. Immortality of the soul, mortality of the body, and the importance of swadharma, doing your duties. If three things become well understood by you, then Sankhya stage is firm within yourself. You have grasped Sankhya, theoretical understanding of spiritual movement. But that's not enough. Putting these in practice in day-to-day life, you may have tons of theory, not an ounce of practice. Then all your theory becomes a big burden on your head. You don't need one head, then you need many heads. There was the predicament of Ravana. He was also a student of Vedanta. But he could not go beyond theoretical understanding. And that theoretical understanding, I am a Brahman, swelled up his ego to such an extent that he needed many heads. It's all this allegorical. So to assimilate, put your theory in practice. Here again doesn't mean that you have to have all the theory clear and all the practice you put it in every day. Doesn't matter. Any degree of insight that you gain, you are putting it in practice. Gaining the wisdom, that Sankhya movement. Putting it in your conduct. Conduct relates to 3 points: manasa, vacha, karmana. In your mind, the type of thoughts that you generate in your mind, words that create their karmas, and your actions. All these must be harmonized by your wisdom, Sankhya. And that's described here in the Gita as Sankhya Buddhi and Yoga Buddhi. The intellect that is grasping the theory, an intellect that is inspiring you to practice it. In the realm of practice, 3 points you have to focus on. Nishkamata. Nishkamata means do not be focused on fulfillment of your desires, because that process will never terminate. Your desires will never end. Krishna na jirna vayameva jirna. Longing for worldly existence, there is no end to it. Body ages, but your longing youthens. Only difficulty is longing doesn't celebrate. birthdays. I'm joking. So that's the goal in practice. How much can you keep your mind free from desires, expectations? Next point, nirvikarita. How much can you keep yourself free from impurities, perverted desire, anger, kama, krodha, lobha, greed, moha, infatuation, mada, conceit, matsarya, constantly pointing finger to others. And the more you pick up ugly nature of others, more relaxed you are. What a day. Nirvikarita. Don't get into this illusion. And anasakti. Attain all things, but be like the sky. The sky gathers all types of things in a positive way, in a negative way, and it stays untouched. Because all these things are perishable. Perishable is not the reality. The reality is that which is ever the same. And that both aspects are within your personality. Body, mind, intellect, etc. The body aspect, when we say body, we speak of three bodies: physical, subtle, causal. All this is perishable. But that is not, you are not these. In sleep, you leave aside your body, you leave aside even your ego that you love so much. In brief, deep down, you are not really the body, mind, intellect. Deep down, you are related to God. So all this, theory and practice, they must enter your life. Then you are really a yogi, really a religious person. Deha vikramanashosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. On this path of yoga, no effort is ever rendered void, nor is there a risk of a negative result. Even a small measure of this dharma protects a person from the great fear of the world process. In all activities, there is positive gain associated with there are some negative developments, reactions. Those who are in the field of medicine, they know it very well. You hear one page of appreciation of the medicine. And the counterindication, simple, your heart may fail. This is an extreme example, but it applies in every field. You are a student, you have done very well of all your studies, but you cannot exactly know whether you are going to do the right thing in your examination, because you don't have any idea what examinations. You don't have the idea what type of teacher is presiding over the examination process. So, in every movement, there is a possibility of a counter reaction called pratyavaya. But in spiritual movement, it is not so. If you have done prayer to God, you do not have any reaction. Don't sit back and say, I lost all that time. I could have been eating rasgullas. I'm joking. Coming to serious point, many develop a mind, very stiff mind. They have only two ways to think. Is this spirituality real? And the one side of their mind said, no, it's not. It's made up by all these people. It's man-made. So why should I fall into it? And then when they see other people doing japa, etc., oh, what a wastage of time. They should have been eating, drinking, merriment. The practice of spiritual movement, which is a blend of Sankhya and Yoga theory and practice. Even a small measure of this real dharma, it protects a person from the great fear. The highest great fear is the world process, to stay in the world, trapped by ignorance. That's the highest. But in the process of evolution, spiritual evolution, every little sadhana that you have done, every step you have taken has destroyed lots of obstacles that you don't understand. Every prayer, every sadhana, it never goes in vain and removes lots of problems. But your karmas are complex, so you cannot really count them. But one thing for certain, that's what one has to understand. That's described in the devotional language. You take one step towards God, and God takes 100 steps towards you, using your steps, 100. Okay. Another way to understand, when you begin to do practical yoga, yoga in life, that implies You become involved in satsanga, good association, swadhyaya, study of scriptures, japa, and various limbs of yoga that I will not cover at this time. As you become involved day by day, your time is so well utilized and it allows your whole personality to bring in a divine oxygen. Not the worldly oxygen. A source of inspiration. Therefore, you are not losing time, but gaining time. You are not losing energy, you are gaining energy. You are not losing your skill, but your skill is becoming much more touched by divine magic, much more acute. How cute. Everything that you handle and you do it well, then that's, others look at it, how cute. And as you move that way day by day on the right path, assimilating yoga and rather assimilating Sankhya and yoga, divine samskaras, shubh samskaras begin to gather in your mind. If you are contrary to this, negative samskaras continue to gather in your mind. And just you can figure out what it means. Negative samskaras, just like if you leave your house without cleanliness, and termites have made their homes in many corners of your house. So samskaras are creating terrible situation. But when you put yourself in the sadhana movement, you are creating, not creating actually, though in study you hear you would create good karmas, good samskaras. In early stage it's the right way of to say it. In advanced stage you don't create it. All the positive is within you. Just like your room is very dark and you go on developing more and more negativity and the darkness becomes denser and denser. That's negative samskaras. Positive, you find a little hole in the window. Now you begin to crack the window open. Even the slightest opening that you do, shubh samskaras are coming. You are not creating them. They are coming, they are manifesting. All positive is within you already. Negative is artificial. That's a good point to understand. Do not hold a big burden in your mind. How can I empty myself, all karmas and all negativity? But all that negativity is like darkness. And positivity is your innate, essential nature. It comes to you spontaneously. Try to practice falsehood, it requires a lot of problems. Stay truthful, Relax, because there's nothing to contradict it. Live a conceited life, it requires lots of stress. Humble, sattvic humility I'm talking about, you just relaxed. You see the drama of all great things happening. So, that point has to be understood, that you do not calculate how many good samskaras should I make. But as long as your mind is gripped by karma, you can consider that we're making good karmas or negative karmas. But coming to higher level, promoting shubha samskaras in your mind, that is automatically happens as you allow the mind to become free of impurity. The light of the self begins to flow through your mind in different degrees, depending upon how much nirmal, how much impure you have rendered your mind. And another point, in this battle between the positive and negative, positive energy is never lost. Negative, from the very beginning, didn't have any substantiality. This is brought out in the stories of Ramayana. After all the battle, where countless monkeys were killed in the monkey army. But when Rama wins and Indra comes to serve Rama, Rama asks Indra to shower nectar. Nectar is showered and not a single monkey was ever killed. It's a good, shocking news. Every positive effort you have done, it is never destroyed. It gets fulfilled. The blossom becomes fruit. Blossom is not destroyed. It gets its fulfillment. But all positive movements culminate, blossom into the blossom and fruit of enlightenment. They don't suffer from any shock. And I will quote from Bhagavad Puran. Yanasthaya naro rajan na pramadyeta karichit yavan nimilye va netre na skhalet na pate diha. This is such a path. If one were to run on the path with eyes closed, he will not be hurt. He will not fall. He will not become a prey to pramada, which means delay in your attainment. Therefore, once you align yourself in path of yoga, it's just like a person who loves to be healthy and aligns himself to healthy habits. Once you have aligned, you don't want to get away from your healthy habits. It becomes your natural. The real health is to bring yoga in your life. And it becomes natural. But all this I'm saying quickly. In life, it needs always your effort, patience, persistent need for satsanga. All this, all the good you do, they are never wasted. They go on working with you. Sometimes you have done lots of sadhana, and it seems that now you cannot do that much. But all that you have done, they are not sitting quiet. They are pickling themselves. They are becoming more potent. व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धि रेकेह कुरुनंदन बहुशाखाह्यनन्ताश्च बुद्ध्यो व्यवसायिनाम. O delighter of the race of Kuru. That's another thing to know from the Gita. Krishna gives encouraging remark regarding Arjuna. If a teacher uses negative terms for the student, you pig-headed. You can't become swan-headed so quickly. That's a wrong way of teaching. So what is potential in a human being, you remind the person. You, Brahman, you are his rays are shining in your eyes. Listen to me. See now all of you will listen. So he says, O delighter of the race of Kuru, the intellect that ascertains the nature of the self is one-pointed. But the thoughts of one who desires the fruits of karma are many-branched and endless. This is another important point. The words used are vyavasatmika buddhi. Intellect that has assimilated the spiritual insight. In other words, a mindset that has come to understand this is the project to follow. Then it becomes one-pointed. This is dramatized in the Mahabharata. Dronacharya puts his students to test. And he puts a device on a big tree, an artificial bird, and the eye of the bird has a special pearl. The students come one by one. The examination is a competition. Who will shoot that eye of the bird? And as great heroes come forward, he puts an oral question before he could discharge the arrow. First you must succeed in oral examination. If you don't succeed, no, you will not allow, they are not allowed. Everyone comes and Dronacharya asks, are you ready to shoot the bird? The person says, oh yes, here my arrow, here my bow. What are you seeing? He says, everything. I'm seeing you, seeing your hands, I'm seeing the tree, I'm seeing everything. And I forget about seeing the bird. Another one is a little better one. He says, I'm seeing the whole tree, every branch, and now I'm seeing the bird also. And I'm going to shoot the bird. But you must realize I'm spicing this story. If you look in the Mahabharata exactly, you can't find it. When Arjuna comes, and Dronacharya asks, do you see me? Arjuna said, no, sir. I didn't say sir, but whatever. So, no Gurudev, no. Do you see all the great people who are here? No, sir. Do you see the tree? No. And they all begin to control their laughter. Said, he is such a stupid one. Do you see the bird? No. That was a big frustration for all. I see only the eye. And Dronacharya said, bravo, shoot. He shoots, the target succeeds. See, all that's how the scriptures are written in the story style. You want to attain Brahman, God, you must not let your mind go after so many petty things of this world. All these things that become so important to your eyes, they are all perishable. And deep behind them, reality is Brahman. God is the reality behind all things of this world. Kan kan mein hai sai ramta. In every speck, the divine self exists. Therefore, what do you see? You don't see anything of this world, only the divine. But that's the climax type of state, the ideal to reach. But in order to reach that, you have many stages of progress, ascending steps. So this movement that allows your mind to be focused on the ultimate goal, liberation. If you are steady on that movement, that's called vyavasatmika buddhi, the intellect that knows only one straight process. But those who are going after fruits of karma, their intellect doesn't have that vyavasatmika buddhi. Their intellect doesn't have that one-pointed goal before them. This is brought out again in another type of parable, that a swan comes in a little island, and so many crows join the swan, and one of the leader crow challenges the swan, asks him, do you know, how many varieties of flight do you know? Swan says, I have not heard of many types of flights. I know only one way. He laughs. How uneducated you are. You have to come into Crow University. Crow University and get PhD. Let me show you how many flights are there. Let's have a target, a little island very close by. They could see it from the shore. Let's fly. But let's exhibit all the ways. Swan becomes just King Kartabya Vibhu didn't know what to do. And agrees, let's fly. So they begin to fly. The swan goes straight because he doesn't know any other way to fly. But this one wants to entertain so many of the other crows. How wonderfully he is flying and how great he is, greater than that stupid swan. So he flies in circles. He flies in spirals. He flies up. He flies downwards. Flies at tangents. He did 99 type of flights. And all the crow assembly clapped. How wonderful. But suddenly, exhausted, he falls into the waters and begins to sink. Swan, having gone ahead, looks back and sees him suffering, comes back, puts him on his back, brings to the shore and says, let me have only one way of flight. Don't teach me 99. So try to learn that one way of flight to attain God realization. Don't go after many ways. So many things you can do in the world. Putreshana, Vitteshana, Lokeshana, so many types of fame, power, glory, success. And you go on counting all this as your success. But by the time count all this, you expire. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadantya vipashtitaha vedavadarataha partha nanya dastiti vadinaha. O delight of the race of Kuru, the intellect that ascertains. That point we have done already. O Partha, those of deluded intellects speak flowery words that are devoted to the karma portion of the Vedas, affirming that apart from the Vedic karma there is nothing else. Now this is being extended. Our avyavasatmika buddhi, the mind, the intellect that is not well organized. Simple terms, fickle-minded. That's what, if you have not gone through spiritual movement, then you stay tickled with fickle mind. And then, deluded by that type of intellect, people speak flowery words. You know the importance of flowers. I'm not discrediting flowers. Flamboyant speaks more loudly than anybody, but doesn't bring out a single fruit. So, the world is filled with flowery words. That's what news breaks from the morning till evening. Everybody is using well-polished words. Promising great things. But the quality, the real performance is lacking. And what the verse points out about the karma portion of the Vedas. Vedas have three portions. One portion is called karma kanda. Next portion is called upasana kanda. And third portion is called jnana kanda. Kanda is more restricted as a ritualistic aspect. These three kandas evolve into yogas. Karma kanda must become karma yoga. What's the difference? Karma kanda means your mind goes after certain mantras. If you do this mantra, you will get money. You get this mantra, you will have a child. Do this mantra, you will succeed in your business. How many you have to do, how many prasads, etc., all details. They are worked out in the Vedas, karma kanda. Karma kanda has its importance for kindergarten time. The people who do not have any subtlety to understand the higher goal, they are given that karma kanda. Just like you bring your children to big satsang, etc., and it gets introduced to their mind, even whether they like it or not. The karma kanda is that type of plan. Similarly, upasana kanda is ritualistic. How to sit in your temple, which god to look after, etc., etc. When it is highly evolved, then it becomes bhakti yoga, dhyana yoga, both together. Jnana kanda again is all precision. If you go after this Gayatri mantra, you will get certain insight. If you go after another mantra, that will give you another insight. And then all Upanishads are giving you countless mantras. Viewing that way, then it's called Jnana Kanda. But Jnana Kanda becomes Jnana Yoga. And when it becomes yoga, then all the three are together. Your actions become karma yoga. Your feeling and your mental process join with what's called Raja Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, meditation, and Bhakti, devotion. Meditation, devotion. And Jnana Yoga, ultimate climax of yoga movement, enlightenment. All go together. If your intellect has developed that type of understanding, that is Vyavasatmika Buddhi, practicing integral yoga with a view to attain enlightenment. कामात्मनः स्वर्गपरा जन्म कर्म फल प्रदाम क्रिया विशेष बहुलाम Bhogeshwarya gatim prati. Dominated by desires, considering heaven as the highest goal. See, for the mass level, the mind is filled with the desire to have a lot of enjoyment. Your mind has already tasted certain type of joy in the world, but you find that, to give you a very crude illustration, if you like sweets, then your body doesn't allow you to take all these sweets. The doctors begin to stop you from taking sweets. Nurses frown at you. How to cure it? Go to heaven. In Swarga, whole ocean of sweet is right there. And you have no calorie problem. You don't carry this body in there. No liver to digest or do anything. So therefore, that's the mental desire, expectation. How wonderful. Well, go on drinking and taking lots of things you enjoy and enter into pleasures of the senses, endless. That's a bhoga-based concept of Swarga. Bhoga, enjoyment. And it becomes possible. Because to your mind can give you all types of experiences. All that you can imagine can be possible. Because that's exactly what you are experiencing, depending upon your mental evaluation. But if you are in that stage, then you are not enlightened. You are being drawn into a world of boundless misery. Enlightenment does not give you all the pleasures that your mind is fascinated about. Mind has to be specially trained to understand that what really gives joy to your mind, when mind is calm, not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future. When a river is calm, or a lake is calm, the entire sky enters into it. Humbly. But if it is agitated, going this way, going that way, then only fishes enter into it. So either let your mind be invaded by fishes, or let it become calm and a divine presence enfolds your mind. Giving you all these pictures so that you can imagine yourself. As long as your mind is after bhoga, enjoyment, aishwarya, power, you are trapped by the cycle of birth and death. Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam tayapahrisha chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhau na vidhiyate. this topic terminates with this about the chanchal mind, mind that is fickle. Attached to enjoyments and personal glory, with their intellect deprived of discriminative power, they are unable to develop that one-pointed intellect which leads to samadhi. If you continue to belong to the crow assembly, watching the different ways of flight, the vertical flights, angular flights, triangular flight. That's what the whole world is. We're constantly watching. And all the history that you read is nothing but flights of a different type. And mind becomes filled with quite a great excitement. But all this leads you nowhere. Have that one-pointed vision that doesn't have colorful descriptions, but it has a profound involvement with your heart. Your whole heart becomes involved. Your whole personality becomes straightened in that movement. Harmony, integration develops in your personality. Your whole personality, instead of being a jarring type of machine, becomes a beautiful veena. And then you become a swan. Soham hamsa paramhamsa. And your goal is only one point, one straight movement, attaining God realization. And it accomplishes all. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, all else shall be added unto you. And with this I'm going to finish. All else has come already, so I said it.
please raise your hand. And little Kanishka will bring you the mic. You all know Kanishka, right? He's a wonderful little karma yogi who shows by example how it's done.
Om Tat Sat. Could you speak a little on surrender?
Why, it's a little topic. I'm joking. It is simple and it is very profound. It depends upon the context, but here in Satsanga, surrender means do your effort wholeheartedly, leave no stone unturned, but with a positive mind that God is working through you. You are an instrument in divine hand. That's the ideal of surrender. The ideal is never reached immediately, but you go on asserting, reminding yourself. And as you go on, two things will happen. You cannot do things that are wrong and then surrender to God. You have to do, the more you do right things, greater is the sense of tuning yourself with God. So this movement in surrender is helping you to be positive, sattvic, pure in thought, word and deed, and to be harmonized within yourself. And as you become harmonized, you are tasting the joy of divine touch. It's like a baby enjoys the mother's presence. You begin to enjoy a kind of divine sweetness enfolding you. That's called surrender. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Mm-hmm. Namaste, Swamiji. Could you please explain what you mean by the world process? Do you mean the physical material world, or do you also include under the term Svarga and high astral planes such as Brahmaloka and etc.?
All are included when we talk of world process. We don't talk of a world in a scientific way, because the scientific world doesn't have anything to do with astral.
So everything that has been created is world process?
Everything that your mind can work upon and imagine. So whatever you are led by your own mind to have three stages of the world. A stage of the world that fulfills the need of your senses. The world that is experienced through your feeling and then the world that you experience through your understanding. Three stages are called three lokas. And these three lokas in scriptures are further divided into 14 divisions. They are called all lokas. People studying them, they look up to the stars and try to match up with the stars. But that's just distraction. Mm-hmm. Because thoughts and feelings, they are not like objects of the world. So they do not exist in a physical space. Their space is totally different. But all that is included when we talk about the world process. All this is a process. Because no matter which world you are thinking about, your mind working with intellect, your mind working with lots of feelings, still it is a process. It is not established. You are not permanently settled. Where you are permanently settled? In your essential nature. Put it in a very simple way. The sun is always settled. The question of its settling, it doesn't arise. But it has three expressions. It is expressing through the clouds, shimmering clouds. That shimmer is not settled. It is expressing through rainbows. That's not settled. And expressing through reflections. All the three planes are unsettling planes. To be enlightened is to realize I am not a reflected sun. I am the real sun. But that is a matter of not saying it, understanding it. And not a matter of simple understanding, letting the whole mind go through a great change. Because mind is made up of your thoughts and impressions. A cloud is not a perfect entity. It is made up of moisture. Blow away the moisture. Go on thinking of things that blows away your mind. I'm joking, but the whole spiritual process is to meditate, how to calm your mind, how to go beyond your mind, and how to come to realize you don't need the mind. Mind is your iPhone, you don't need it anymore. Just become I, not 4D I.
Namaskar, Swamiji. I asked this question 6 years ago.
I don't remember it.
Well, I would hope not. But 6 years ago I asked, what is God? And since those 6 years I've been always thinking to myself, or always asking myself rather, the same question. And I've not come to a standard conclusion, but I have changed the question. It took me 6 years to change one question. Instead of what is God, my question to you is, who is God?
Who is God? The who term has to be understood. Say, for example, if you are dreaming, in the dream plane you are asking, who created this world? Someone says God is one who created it. And you are asking, who is that God? The fact is, the question is defective. But you don't know it. Dream is not real. Better it is to understand the dream is unreal. But if it is soothing to the mind, yes. Your own consciousness has created all the dream. That consciousness is God for the dream world. But use the same simile. In day-to-day life, if you are going through the same long dream, when you are asking who created this world, ask yourself, is this world the way I experience it? Is it real? What is the proof of this world? You say, my eyes are the proof. But are your eyes absolutely perfect? A vulture's eyes will say, no, your eyes are useless. So which world you are talking about? So first thing to understand, the world is a Maya, that's what we call cosmic illusion. So, ultimately question comes down to what is the reality? Who am I? Behind all this, what is the real I am? Not point to your head, this is me. The real I am. And that is not a simple question and answer. It is a question of, just like a child who wants to attain something. How can I get a PhD? Child comes to the father. You have the PhD out there, give me that. I will have also PhD. Have the title. The child, that's not, child can ask. But the real answer behind it, child has to grow. Every aspirant has to grow, and you have already given the proof that what you were 6 years back, you have grown up to another level. So take another 6 years.
In 6 years, I'll ask you, why is God?
Okay.
Pranam Gurudev. I have been attracted to the Brahmari pranayama recently, and I was wondering what the profound reasons for practicing this pranayama are and the profound effects.
Go to the Google. that type of question has academic value. And you can get it from anywhere.
Thank you, Gurudev.
But simple point is pranayama is a part of a great sadhana. It allows you bring a harmony in the flow of pranas, and that impacts upon your mind. Mind well harmonized becomes calm. When that calmness develops, Sushumna, this real channel of Kundalini, becomes active. But that's the goal. But how you study it in disciplinary stage, get it through the informations. The disciplinary stages are different ways of practicing sadhana. And that's not the important point. You may go on practicing a lot of Sushumna Nadi type of practice without having anything to do with opening Sushumna. Because it requires your whole personality to change. So many things are involved.
Pranam. I have kind of a two-part question regarding self-forgiveness and the negative samskaras that are attached to self-forgiveness. Do you have any assistance in how to unravel the negative samskaras around self-forgiveness?
The answer lies in your sadhana. Be involved with your japa, daily meditation, satsanga. It's just like a person feeling extremely feeble and weak comes to the doctor, give me the answer. The answer he gives his medication. And medication is doing sadhana. The more you do, more you harmonize physically, mentally, psychologically, in a spiritual way, under a spiritual umbrella, with Godward touch, more bhakti, devotion, japa. When that type of mystic vibrations enter, your insight begins to grow automatically, just like as I gave you the brief. In a dark room, If you go on hunting, going after the darkness to beat them out, you don't succeed. But go after the little light that is coming from the hole somewhere and be holy. Open the window. So all this becomes again a progressive movement. But the real solution comes by yourself, by your mind being calm, and you feel internally relaxed, and your feeling becomes joyous. Automatically you have a vertical view. You begin to see what are your defects and to what extent you have controlled them. And sometimes you don't even have to understand it. You know that you are going to emerge free of troubles. You don't have to count them. So figure that out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. We now invite Ashwin. He's a physician of integrative medicine and also has the privilege of treating Swamiji when he needs it.
Pranam Swamiji, Om Tat Sat. So there is an endemic of loneliness and depression that oftentimes underlies many health concerns. So what affects the body impacts the mind, what impacts the mind affects the body. So it's incredibly important for all health providers to appreciate this and to offer healing in both regards, both body and mind. And what's the best cure for depression? Well, you're doing it. Satsanga is the best cure for depression. In modern medicine, there's recent scientific literature that looks at how the combination of exercise and meditation have actually been found to improve mood in those people who are depressed. So in medicine, we define depression in different ways, not to get too much into it, but it's often referred to as anger turned inward or learned helplessness. And this is when we're associating ourselves with the little wave-like existence that is bouncing around on the surface of the ocean instead of really connecting with the profoundness that is our innermost self. So how do we get there? Well, getting back to tiny, incremental, measurable goals. Yoga actually gives us the template, the prescription on how to effectively treat depression and that learned helplessness. Even in the context of one yoga, hatha yoga class or hatha yoga session, you, as the body warms, your ability to stretch and hold certain poses actually increases even within that short time that you are practicing that discipline. And the empowering aspect of that is that even in very small steps, if we can control certain things within our physical reality, that is a very empowering, re-empowering thing, and sets the tone for other advancement, including pranayama, meditation, and the ability to then serve others. Many people who have experienced profound depression and healed themselves end up becoming the most wonderful teachers. So that type of movement, which is also referred to as post-traumatic spiritual growth, after grieving, we have the instinct to help those others in need. That is also a very important telltale sign that we are healing. Normal grieving and normal recovery, emotional and mental recovery after trauma is common, is expected. But sticking to a routine that includes certain hatha yoga practices, pranayama, meditation, and satsanga can really help depression. And modern medicine is just now catching up to the ancient wisdom that has been detailed for us so beautifully and from ancient times, and that Swamiji shares with us daily. So wishing you all the best health and happiness. More my next time.
Okay, very good.
So before we conclude with kumkum blessings from Gurudev's hands, I would like to acknowledge some devotees. All the beautiful flower arrangements that you see in front of Gurudev, the flowers were brought by Malini and also arranged beautifully by her, and we thank her. You all know Malini, right? We call her the ashram bumblebee. Where is she? Please bring her in. Yes, all of you know Malini. Yes, there she is. So beautiful karma yogi.
Bumble.
And the spirit with which she serves is what is to be watched with all her heart, mind, and soul, folks. And I'm tremendously grateful for all that she does. The prasad that you enjoyed this evening was a contribution of 2 or 3 wonderful devotees. The sabji that you enjoyed was made by Malini from Texas. And there she is. Put your hand up. Put your hand up. Yes. We all know her wonderful culinary skills and a lot of wonderful work that she does. Some of the robes that Swamiji wears are sewn by her with her beautiful hands. Yes. And many other wonderful things, her husband and her beautiful children. We thank them all. Rajneesh was instrumental in bringing us the curry and the chawal, the rice, and also the mango yogurt. The curry is a specialty of northern India where he comes from, and it's really a labor of love. Our salad today was a contribution of Shankara and his wife Prabha, and we thank them. And the dessert was brought by Vasudeva. And you all know Vasudeva, right? Yes. Vasudeva, the quintessential karma yogi, I call him. Yes, also, it's wonderful. We learn so much from Gurudev. But I say we learn a lot from watching these wonderful karma yogis and the spirit that they bring to their seva, their selfless service. And to add to what Ashwin said, I will say the best remedy for depression and grieving is to get involved in selfless service, seva. Find something greater than yourself and immerse yourself in it, heart, mind, and soul. And soon you will forget your cares. And it is a time-tested remedy. Try it, folks. And with that, I request Gurudev. But before that, I want to remind you, Guru Purnima, special festivity next Sunday. We commence at 5 p.m., folks. Our regular satsang, as usual, Tuesday and Wednesday, Yoga Vasishtha. On Thursday, we meet here at 6 o'clock. We have a wisdom circle, an informal discussion group that meets at 6 p.m. On Friday, Swamiji is lecturing on the Tulsi Ramayana. On Saturday, we enjoy guided meditation. And next Sunday, Guru Purnima. Usually, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, as you enjoyed this evening. Now with that, I request Gurudev to please conclude with prayers.
Prayer for health, long life, peace, prosperity, enlightenment, all of you, for all the world. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukum Bandhanan Mrityor Mukhyamamritat Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम हरि ओम तत्सत्।